This is Caitlin Blackwood. I played young Amelia Pond on Doctor Who, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast.
The tangents we continue all the way to episode 169 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And here we are. It's a new year. Let us take a moment to reflect on the year past. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week. We'll go on the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
Happy 2018.
Yay.
Yes.
I mean, technically, it was 2018 on our last episode, too, but...
Yeah.
In case you didn't say it then.
Yes. I think we did, but...
We're plowing through all of our... all the stuff we've got going on. Yeah. So next up on the docket is our year in review.
Yes.
So that's kind of we're extending the New Year's celebrations.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, that's a ticket. I'm gonna steal from John Lovitz on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. First, though, we've got to get into news, and we actually have some news.
People have come back from holiday.
Yes, exactly. So first we have to start with some 10 o'clock news, unfortunately. Yeah. So Jerry Van Dyke, younger brother of Dick Van Dyke, has passed away. So, which Jerry had a decent career. Yeah, he's probably not nearly as recognizable as his brother. But that doesn't, diminish what he did. I think most people mostly remember him from his role on Coach with Craig T. Nelson. It was a sitcom type show that was on back in the 90s.
Yep, I do remember that show. And when all the news hit that he passed away and they had his picture and talk about Coach, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that show.
Yeah. So it's kind of bittersweet coincidence, though, that when I was at my in-laws over the Christmas break, that my father-in-law would have the TV on just kind of background noise, but they had it on. Yeah. He kept it on this TV station that during the day shows a lot of westerns.
Okay.
But in the evening, it's almost like Nick at Night, where it shows a lot of older TV shows. I've caught episodes of like the Adam West Batman series on there and Bewitched and all like that, but there was also occasionally, I think it was only once, I remember seeing part of an episode of the TV series that he was on back in the day, My Mother the Car. And I was like, what is this show? And who is this guy? Because it's like, he kind of looked like Dick Van Dyke, but it obviously wasn't Dick Van Dyke. And then I realized after the fact that it was Jerry Van Dyke. Because he looked a lot different in like the 50s than what I remember him looking like on like Coach. The older Jerry Van Dyke. So, but...
and if any of you haven't seen Coach, I highly recommend you try to track down and watch a couple of episodes.
Yes.
Funny.
Oh, yes.
Like, I've heard of it, but I've never really seen it, so I've put it on my list to try to find out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, hopefully, with Hulu and Netflix getting all these older sitcoms, maybe it'll be in the rotation at some point. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe.
Possibly. So, but our thoughts and our prayers go out to Dick Van Dyke and the rest of their family, and he posted a link to a lovely write-up that someone did about his brother on his Facebook page. So if anyone wants to read that, you can go to Dick Van Dyke's Facebook page and check that out. So
Yep.
Let's move on to some happier news with some convention announcements. Because that's always exciting.
Yep. So, Salt Lake Comic-Con, I'm still calling it that.
Yeah. I like how they're calling them.
Yeah, I think they weren't forced to change. I think this is sort of a preemptive thing, or they're just being tongue in cheek.
Yeah, it's very cheeky.
But either way, the convention, the comic convention that happens in Salt Lake on a annual basis and is going to come back in September, made a big guest announcement. I vaguely knew that he was doing conventions, but I didn't think they'd get him to come all the way out here. Tim Curry is coming to Salt Lake Comic-Con, which is like, I mean, I know like some years ago he had a stroke and is obviously not acting, but yeah, he's coming. There'll be a panel, photo ops, and all that good stuff, and oh my gosh, like how in the world did you guys get Tim Curry? I mean, it's a rhetorical question, but one I'm excited about.
Like he somewhat sarcastic answer to that would be, we asked.
That's true. That's true. They asked, and I'm glad they did. Which is funny because
people said this much, and Salt Lake said okay.
Yep. But it's
don't want to know.
Yeah. Although it's funny because I don't know if any of you guys watch Nostalgia Critic videos, but for Christmas, their Christmas review, Nostalgia Critic did Home Alone 2: Lost in New York, and the big joke in there is like, because it's. I mean, I like the movie. I think fondly of the movie, but kind of the joke is, it's a rehash of the first one pretty much. But it's like Tim Curry makes because he plays the concierge of the hotel. He makes the whole movie just watchable and entertaining. I think the movie's entertaining anyway, but Tim Curry's kind of the best part of that movie.
I love Tim Curry. He's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, so I just watched the Nostalgia Critic review where he's praising Tim Curry, and then Salt Lake Comic-Con says, "Hey, we got Tim Curry to come," and I'm like, "That's some serendipity."
Yeah,
I think. But anyway, so yay, that's exciting.
Yes, and then closer to my home, like 20 minutes from where I live. Indie PopCon finally has started making guest announcements, and I know I've been talking about it, saying they need to start making guest announcements because I know what a couple of them are, and I couldn't say anything, and these are the ones I've been sitting on, knowing that this announcement was coming.
I wondered.
So thank you, Carl! Thank you, Carl, for finally start doing guest announcements. So, yes, I've known about these two guests coming for months and have not been able to say anything. So.
Oh, wow.
So, finally, everyone knows that we are getting a pair of Power Rangers at Indie PopCon. Jason Font, I haven't gotten to his series yet. I'm still trying to plow through all of the Power Rangers, and they're all on Netflix. But it's 25 years of Power Rangers. It's kind of slow going. I'm still on In Space, and Jason Font was in Time Force, so I'm not entirely sure how many more series I have to go before I get to his.
You'll get to it.
I'll get to it eventually, hopefully by PopCon. So Jason Font, who is in Power Rangers Time Force, and of course the big, no offense to Jason Font, but the bigger of the two, Jason David Frank, Mr. Tommy Oliver himself.
Yay!
The legend. My probably, best of my recollection, my first celebrity crush was Jason David Frank. I loved Tommy. So, yeah, I am super excited that Jason David Frank is coming to Indy. So excited. So he was at Lexington when I went a couple of years ago, but unfortunately he was just so busy. Because he's Tommy Oliver. He's like, he's the Beethoven of Power Rangers. He's just, he's a legend in Power Rangers. He's been in the series. He's been the same character, but he's been like,
he's been different colored Power Rangers.
Different iterations of Rangers. throughout the series. They keep bringing him back.
Or he just keeps showing up.
Or he keeps showing up. I think a lot of times he just shows up like, "Hey guys, want me to, throw a few kicks around?" And they're like, "Sure, we'll figure out how to work you in." And there you go. In fact, he just last week he was on the RPG. If you guys don't know, I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But there is a Power Ranger role-playing game that they are playing on Twitch. It's being shown on Twitch, and they've got 5 people playing new Rangers, new characters, and one of them happens to be Andre, Black Nerd Comedy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't this the one that Andre was talking about? He was the Blue Ranger.
Andre's playing the Blue Ranger, and actually, crap, the minute I start thinking about it, I forget people's names. Paul, that played Bulk, actually,
I saw that.
He's not playing Bulk, he's playing a completely different character. He's the Yellow Ranger in the RPG. And they have brought back a couple of Power Ranger alumni. They had Karen Ashley last year, who played Aisha, the second Yellow Ranger. They had her come in, and then they had another guy that I didn't recognize from another series. And then just last week they had Jason David Frank playing Tommy Oliver as his Black Ranger powered persona. So, but yeah, so I'm super excited to meet Jason David Frank and add his autograph to my collection and meet him and tell him how much I love
Rachel.
him. Yes.
Remember to breathe. It's okay.
I've been good with meeting most of the Power Rangers, because I've met several of them. But yeah, this one I'm gonna be like, and I'm 10 again.
Chauncey's gonna have to go and kind of hold you up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not making fun of you, because I would be doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No. But yeah, that's exciting, and I'm glad everybody knows now, because I've been like, for months, I'm like, Jason David Frank is coming to Punk, and I can't say anything. So.
But you were good and professional and kept it under your hat until you could say something.
Exactly.
Good for you.
Exactly.
You did not pull a Snow White.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That being said, there's another guest I know that they're working on getting that's not Power Rangers related, but they're working on another guest that they have not announced yet that I know is coming, and I can't.
Is it another Jason?
No, it's not another Jason.
Sorry.
Not a Power Ranger.
Quit fishing.
That would be funny if it was someone named Jason, though. But yeah.
Jason Isaacs, maybe.
That would be awesome if they're bringing Jason Isaacs. I know nothing about that, but but yeah. Now that PopCon has started to make us announcements, we should start seeing more on the regular as we get closer to PopCon, which is in 5 months, actually. So, as of we're recording this, so it's kind of scary.
Get your cosplays going, people.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it.
And, whatever else you've got cooking.
Yep, so... Alright, well, those are exciting. I'm excited.
Really? I couldn't tell.
I love the Power Rangers. I can't help it. Yeah. It could have been any Power Ranger from, up to the movie, and I'd be like, yay! So. Beyond that, I start getting a little iffy on the characters. But anyone up through the first movie... I'm like, yay! So. All right, let's move on to award season. So the Golden Globes were the other night. Is that what I watched? I think so.
Yeah. A lot of drama going on from what I could see.
The Golden Globes were the other night. It was interesting. I watched the entire thing. Nothing I cared about won, but nothing I cared about was nominated in the first place, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, it's kind of like watching the Super Bowl when none of the teams you like are either team, and you're just kind of like, I'm just here for the commercials.
Yeah,
actually, I didn't even watch. I didn't even know they were on.
Or a few of them were in categories that's like, nope, their other one is gonna completely beat it out, and it did.
Yeah, I was saying the few categories where something I remotely cared about were nominated, they did not win. So, like Game of Thrones did not win Best TV Series Drama. So that's all that matters. Although I will give props to James Franco's acceptance speech for The Disaster Artist. Brilliant that he won Best Actor for playing a person who is considered one of the worst actors on the planet in one of the worst movies on the planet.
That takes talent.
I mean, the irony is not lost on anyone. It's freaking brilliant. And then his acceptance speech was brilliant on top of that. And the fact that Tommy Wiseau was there and wanted to say something, it would have been awful, is even more brilliant. So I will give props to James Franco for being totally prepared for that just in case. That was awesome. But anyway.
Okay, I need to go find that video.
Yes.
Because that's like something
after we're done recording, I'm going to go find that on YouTube because it's got to be there.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And if you don't know who Tommy Wiseau is, you don't know anything about The Room, you don't need to see the movie. Go watch the honest trailer for The Room. That will tell you everything you need to know.
Or speaking of Nostalgia Critic, he did a hilarious review of it, and he hits the highlights of the movie and everything you really need to know.
Yeah, between those two, that will tell you everything you need to know. I still have not seen The Disaster Artist yet. I need to, but I haven't had the time. So anyway, but that since we're squarely into award season here, BAFTA nominations were announced today. Which, if people don't know, that's essentially the British equivalent of the Oscars, essentially. Kind of,
Oscars
sort of.
And Emmys, I think. I think they do TV, don't they?
No, not with the BAFTA.
Oh, they don't.
No, it's just film.
Never mind.
It's the other one that I can't think of right now.
I don't know. I can't keep track of
I know,
those.
there's so many. And they keep coming up with new ones. So, anyway. BAFTA
it's like, wait around a while, you'll win an award.
Yeah. So, BAFTA nominations are out, and of course, once again, nothing that we really care about is nominated till you get to the technical categories, and then you start saying things like, Star Wars and War for the Planet of the Apes for, like, the technical nominations, and it's like, yay. But, this being the BAFTAs, because it's British awards, if you look at some of the a couple of the film nominations, it's like, you look and it's pretty much the same stuff that's get nominated here in the States that none of us have bothered to go see, like I, Tonya and 3 Billboards Out of blah, 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 Missouri, and all these other, obviously
things I've never heard of.
Things we've never heard of, and things we're probably never going to see. Oscar bait.
Yes,
movies,
Oscar
essentially.
bait.
Yes. But, because this is British, there are a couple of nominations for Paddington 2. Hugh Grant got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Paddington 2. So, it's like, if that's not British, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Yay! I'm glad Paddington has nominations. I haven't seen any of the Paddington movies.
I haven't either.
I've read the books.
They're supposedly really good. The movies.
They're getting awards.
Yeah.
This week, the second one comes out this week, and I've been wanting to watch the first one. I just haven't been able to. Like, all the actors, like the cast looks amazing.
Peter Capaldi's in it. I know that.
Yeah.
There's a couple of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Alumni.
Actors,
well, it's the UK. They've got 12 actors, so.
Yes. True.
Everyone's been in Doctor Who, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and now Paddington, so.
Yep. they've all got to get their yearly rewards.
Exactly.
Show up for their award show.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, we've got 12 statues here. You get one, you get one, you get one, you get one.
Yep.
Woohoo!
Yep.
Okay.
But that just struck me as funny. So it's all, you look at the nomination and it's like, it's all those movies that were mentioned at the Golden Globes and will probably be nominated for Oscars once we get those nominations. Oh, Paddington 2. Oh, that's very British. That's adorable.
Mm-hmm.
We love Britain. We really do. This is all in good natured fun.
Yeah. Please invite us over for tea.
Yes.
All right. Next, really no surprise to anybody, is HBO has made it official that Game of Thrones' final season will not air until 2019.
Which I think we kind of figured.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because they're filming as we speak because it's wintertime, because at this point in the plot it needs to be wintertime, and it's just much easier to film when it's actually winter than, do fake snow or put it in CGI snow or that sort of thing. So
try to do fake snow in 90 plus degrees and you're sweating.
Yes.
Yeah, that can't be terrible. Fun for the actors.
Yeah.
It probably stinks to have to film in the cold anyway, but I can.
It might be for some, and then for others, they're loaded up with, faux furs and 12 million layers, and it's probably still uncomfortable, because then the fur gets wet, so the faux fur gets wet, then it weighs a lot, so but yeah, so they're filming as we speak, but it will not air until 2019. When in 2019, we do not know.
Anybody's guess.
Yes, but we do have a year, so sometime between January 1st and December 31st, 2019, we will get the final season of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
More than likely, it'll be in the spring, probably. Because then people can spend all summer rewatching it when it comes out on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can start putting it in reruns. Or something. I don't know if HBO does that, but anyway.
They might.
Yeah, because I know during New Year's they were running a season a day.
Oh, really? There you go, then.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I could do a season a day, too, and I don't need HBO to rerun it for me.
Well, that explains why... Never mind.
Why is your DVR filled up?
No, when I went to my sister's house for New Year's, it was on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
That would be why. So, the countdown is on-ish for the final season of Game of Thrones.
Yep.
So when we go to ring in the new year again, we can go, Game of Thrones is coming back! So...
You can get excited for that.
Exactly. So, speaking of, I guess, streaming services, Netflix and Hulu and HBO Now and HBO Go, whatever the heck it's called, out there. Hulu has ordered 2 new seasons of the Animaniacs cartoon.
This surprised me, because the last big news was that Animaniacs was on Netflix. And now it's not. And now it's on Hulu.
Yep.
And they're getting new episodes, like brand new, all of it. And I'm just like, oh, wow.
And Steven Spielberg is returning to work on it.
Okay, I knew that.
Yeah.
Although I did see one article, and I should have saved it, and I didn't.
He must be making
that said
grandchildren very happy doing that.
Yeah. That like the writers, the original writers and some producers and directors aren't coming back. Like, it's all brand new people, so it's kind of like like, okay, hopefully it still stands up to the original.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know nothing about it. I'm excited. I'm kind of cautious because I love Animaniacs so much. And, anytime they talk about rebooting or remaking something that, I love, I'm just kind of like, okay, I think you can do this, but I'm going to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
See what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this is exciting.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, because it doesn't say, at least the link that we have, it doesn't say anything about the cast.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything about the cast either, and let's see. I'm trying to think if any of the cast, like any of the prominent cast, is like either retired or passed away. I don't think so, but I'd have to look into that more.
Yeah.
For more detail.
Yeah.
I just don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah. I don't think so, because, I mean, at one point there was a talk of the three, the voices of Yakko, Wacko, and Dot going on tour together.
Oh, yeah. Well, they've all three of them. They've been to Salt Lake Comic-Con at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, Jess Harnell comes, like, every other year.
Oh, yeah. He's all over the place and totally still embraces, that role. And he actually at one point was doing the voice of Wacko over the PA system at PopCon. So.
Oh,
yeah, he goes.
Somewhere floating around, too, he did an updated map.
Yes.
Map song.
Yeah. Rob Olson did it, yeah.
Yeah, so at least 2 out of the 3, they're still doing the voice for, non-official things, like appearances and all that, so.
Yeah. Well, and Tress MacNeille, she's around doing
Yeah.
conventions and things too. Maybe not as much as the other two, but yeah, she's still doing stuff. And if they do, Pinky and the Brain, Maurice LaMarche is definitely still doing voice acting.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing a Pinky and the Brain reboot either.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the idea is that, that Animaniac, the back catalog of Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, and Tiny Toon Adventures will all go to Hulu, so.
Yeah.
They're already on Hulu.
Yeah.
I was watching a few. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess Hulu's kind of given Netflix a run for its money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we all win because of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is true. Excuse me. Well, that is it for news. A little bit of housekeeping. And you guys don't know this yet, but this is exciting for you and for me and for all of our listeners. Is I have to respond to this email and send them some description wording things to put up. But and I'll make sure to post a link once it's actually live. But we are going to have 5-ish Fangirls shirts available for purchase.
Ooh!
So
I didn't know this. I know we've bandied it about, but
yes. So I have been working with a company that's actually local to Indianapolis. So support local. That's always good. Called My Merch. So you can go to mymerch.us and see what they have available right now for other people, including that is where you can buy shirts and hats for friend of the show, Geeking in Indiana. So you can buy his stuff, and then there's a couple of other Indianapolis based podcasts that also have their merchandise through them. So Tony did his months ago and got a shirt and a hat, and he brought those to Doctoberfest, so I was actually able to see some of the merchandise in person and check it out. And some of the other people I know that their shows, they're doing their stuff through My Merch as well, have been very happy with the quality of the product. It's all print on demand, so we don't have to worry about maintaining inventory and that sort of thing. We're starting out very simple with, short sleeve t-shirts, a hoodie, a tank top, and a sticker. And then, depending on how things go as far as sales, we can expand into some of their other products as well, but this will definitely be a good start. So if you want anything with our logo on it, as soon as I looked and he sent me proofs of everything to see how it looked with the logo on it. So I need to send them back approval, and then I have to send them back a little blurb to put on our specific page on their website, a little description about the show and that sort of thing. And then once I send that back to them, and everything should go live, and then people can start buying shirts with our logo on it, and I'm so excited.
Nice.
So we can all buy stuff with our show logo on it. So when we can all buy ourselves t-shirts and then wear them about, and then people will be like, "Oh, what's that shirt you're wearing?" And it'll be like, "Here, let me tell you about this awesome podcast you should be listening to." We could be walking billboards for our own show. And then if any of our listeners want merchandise, they could do that too. So, yeah. But I will make sure to post on all the social medias once the actual, storefront, I'm using air quotes here, the storefront is live. So people can start ordering merch. I'm excited. Because merch is not easy. Because you either have to do it yourself, and then you have to worry about inventory and trying to figure out, what colors and sizes people might want. And, you could end up with a bunch of shirts that nobody wants, and then you're stuck with it. So I've seen that happen to some people. But then, doing stuff where someone else is doing the printing and selling and everything, if you don't actually ever get to see the quality and all this, you don't know what people are getting as far as quality, and you don't want to, we don't want any of our listeners to end up with crap.
Well, yes, especially with our name on it.
Yeah, with our name, especially with our name on it. So, but from what I've seen and from what I've heard of other people, that their opinions I respect. They are very happy with the quality. And I was happy with the quality of what the pieces I got to see. So, yeah, I think it should be fun. And as soon as it goes live, I'm ordering myself something. So. Not that I haven't enjoyed wearing.
I guess I know what I'm getting my family for their birthday.
Yeah.
It's like, here.
Sorry, friends and family, birthdays, Christmas. You're all getting merch with my show on it. Yeah.
Maybe I'll include something else nice. Just please, will you wear this shirt around town?
Yes. Take this sticker and stick it someplace prominent where everyone will see it. That sort of thing. So, yeah. I'm excited. So if anyone wants to go ahead and bookmark, it's mymerch.us. So.
Exciting.
Yes, that is exciting. Is feedback. We actually have feedback. Feedback.
We got some feedback. Jazz hands.
Yes. So we got.
I think I did it right. I needed to do it for Sean because that's who sent this feedback.
Yes.
I believe you did.
Yep. So Sean from our brother podcast, Traveling the Vortex, sent us in some lovely audio feedback, specifically about our review of The Last Jedi.
Hey ladies, this is Sean. Just wanted to say a great last episode. I very much enjoyed listening to you talk about Star Wars The Last Jedi and everybody's opinions on it. And of course, having said that, I now feel compelled to weigh in with my 2 cents in response to yours. Now, I will preface this by saying, of course, the opinions of Sean are purely his own and have no reflection on the Five-ish Fangirls or their subsidiaries or holdings or podcasts or individuals or whatevers. And, furthermore, this is not an attack on anybody who did not like this movie. You are welcome to your opinion. For what it's worth, I enjoyed it immensely. And what I found very interesting as I listened to your review is it seemed that most of you were in the same sense of it was really cool, it was really good, I liked this part of it, I liked that part of it, but everybody seemed to have this general sense of unease about the movie. Something just wasn't quite right. And I want to assure you, I was right there with you. I came out of that movie going, did I like that? I think I did. The first act was really strong. The second act, maybe not so much. But the third act was really strong. And on the whole, I think I liked it. And then I percolated on it for a little bit. And the further I get out from that movie, the more I liked it. It's grown on me so much. And I think the reasoning that everybody that I've talked to seems to have... There's two camps. It seems like everybody either enjoyed it with some reservations or outright hated it. And I think the reasoning for those reservations, really it all boils down to Luke Skywalker. It's not our Luke. It's not the Luke that we grew up with, if you grew up with him as I did. Or it's not the Luke that you've come to know. Now, for those that just flat out hated it, I don't think I can help them at all. And the reason that I suspect a large number of people hated it goes back to the EU and all of the books and all of the reference materials and all of the expanded universe. Everything that grew up out of Star Wars during the time when there was no Star Wars. And I read a good chunk of that, so I'm pretty well versed in it. And I get it. Luke is portrayed vastly differently in this movie than he was portrayed in the EU. And a lot of the people I know, including some very dear friends, simply cannot get over the fact that the EU isn't canon anymore. To which I can only reply, I'm sorry, you got to get over it. And while I was upset when it happened, when Disney decanonized all of those books, I can understand it. If I'm in Disney's shoes and I pay $4 billion for Star Wars and want to go forward and make a new movie, I'd have done the exact same thing, because I don't want to trip over the existing canon. I don't want to have to worry about tiptoeing through the minefield of what book or comic book established that this happened and when. It's not worth it. It's easier just to go ahead and say, hey, enjoy those stories for what they were, but this is the direction we're moving in now. The only other option would have been to go on ahead and adapt those novels and make those into movies. Well, then the slippery slope becomes all those people, and we're all guilty of it. Well, it wasn't as good as the book. And we've all met the Harry Potter fans or the Lord of the Rings fans that just, well, I wish they could have got Tom Bombadil in there, or, well, they changed this part of the Triwizard Tournament, and we didn't get enough Quidditch in the movie, and blah, blah, blah. It's a no-win situation. The minute you set out to adapt that book, whether it's Heir to the Empire or one of the later ones down the line, you're setting yourself up for the disappointment of fans who read it and loved it, or the fans that thought it could have been improved and you didn't do that right either. So it's best just to ignore them and move on. Now, were there good things in those books? Absolutely. Thrawn, as you guys mentioned. There's some fantastic things in those books, and I think Disney's being relatively smart about cherry-picking what is and is not going to be established canon going forward. They're going to steal some of those ideas and bring them into the new stuff, which is great, because at least then we'll still get to hold on to it and have them. But you can't do it as a word-for-word, scene-for-scene deconstruction of those books. So there's that aspect of it. On a complete side note, you're all nuts. Courtship of Princess Leia is the worst book ever, but I didn't write in or call in to talk about that one, so we're just going to let that slide for now. That's just my opinion, by the way. The thing with Luke, and I had to really percolate on this for a while, and I had a discussion with Odd Duck Phil, and one of the things that we kind of settled upon is he didn't like the dark moment, specifically with Ben Solo, when Luke is about, spoiler warning obviously, when Luke is about to off Ben in his moment of weakness. That flew contrary in the face of everything that my friend believed Luke Skywalker was about, and it didn't sit well with me either. But the more I thought about it, and after our discussion, we came up with the idea, this is Batman Beyond. Now, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Batman Beyond is probably the best interpretation of Batman ever. It's phenomenal. If you have not seen it, I'm not spoiling anything because this is all right at the beginning, but basically it's set in the future. Bruce Wayne is an old man and yet he's older, at least at the beginning, and he's still doing the bat shtick. He's still running out trying to fight crime, and he's got all kinds of tech built into his suit to help him out, but he's old. He just can't keep up with the physicality that being Batman involves. And there's a kidnapping, and he goes to confront the bad guys, and he disarms one of them, and basically he gets his butt kicked. He's down for the count. And in a moment of pure instinct and self-preservation, he grabs the guy's gun and whirls and hurls it on him. And the crook backs off and escapes. And Batman, Bruce, stands there for a minute. He's lying on the floor, actually. And he sits there for a minute, and he looks at the gun, and he realizes what happened. He realizes how close he came. Now, the animated Batman is vastly different from the DC movie Batman. This Batman does not kill. He simply does not do it. And he doesn't use guns. It's always been violence, but non-lethal. And he's holding that gun, and he realizes what happened, and he throws it away and says, "No more. Never again." And it's a powerful moment for that figure, for that character. And it sets up what eventually becomes, the idea of the series, that he now has a young punk who comes in and takes over the suit and picks up the mantle of becoming Batman. But it's a very clear definition and defining moment of character for Bruce Wayne. This is Luke's moment. We've all been there. We've all had that split-second rational collapse where we consider shoplifting or doing harm to somebody. And maybe it's the road rage moment when somebody cuts you off, or maybe it's, listening to your partner snore and thinking about holding a pillow over their head. I'm not saying with any real seriousness, but we've all had those moments where the idea has flown in. We didn't ask for it. We didn't want it. But the idea has flown in, and for just a brief second, we considered it. And then we dismiss it out of hand because we're rational creatures. This was Luke's. He was unprepared to step into the minefield that was Ben Solo's chaotic psyche, and how dark and how lost Ben felt. And in that moment, knew that he had to end it. And then rational thought kicked back in, and he said, "No, of course I can't do this." Unfortunately, Ben woke up right in the middle of that moment. Now, keep in mind that, as we know from Episode 1, Snoke's been working on him. Leia says Snoke seduced our son. So he's probably laying there in this half-stupor dream state, being seduced by the dark side, having whispering worms crawling in and out of his brain about how he should just take over and kill everybody and do all this kind of stuff, and he'll be given power and he'll be given riches, however the dark side works. And Luke steps into the middle of that. So it's even worse than what he imagined. It's even worse than what he felt. And probably it was even worse than what it actually was. It probably looked worse in that moment than what Ben was actually going through. Maybe Ben had been able to hold it at bay for that long. But then he woke up and he saw Luke. And he realized in that split second that everything Snoke had been whispering to him was true. And so he lashes out and destroys the students, etc., blah, blah, blah. So a lot of people are upset over the portrayal of Luke as this kind of washed-up hermit. But if you look at it in the context of that Batman Beyond moment, it becomes very logical. It becomes very rational that this is the path that he would have chose, to unplug, to move away from that. And to call the Jedi out on all the BS that, when he's describing to Rey that there's no good without the light. Who are we to think that we are so superior that we can bring light to the darkness? There's still light. There's still dark. That's not up to us. And it's very zen in that way. And so, while I was right there with everyone, this isn't my Luke. I can move past that and go to, this is a really cool direction for Luke, because it moves in such a way that I didn't expect. And one of the things I really appreciated about this whole film was that it moved in ways I didn't expect. Not that I went in with a bunch of preconceived notions, but just the idea that it's Star Wars, and I don't know what's going to happen. It's been a really long time since I've had that. I mean, we had the prequels. And by nature of being a prequel, you know where they're going to wind up. The twists and turns to get there may be a little different, but you know that we've got to get to the fact that Anakin and Padme are going to hook up. She's got to have twins. He's going to go dark and become Darth Vader. That's established fact. So there's no surprises there. So then we move into Force Awakens, and it's going to be new and exciting and different. And, it was, but it was also New Hope. It's so closely cut from the cloth that is Episode 4 that the beats are all there. And it's wonderful. It's nostalgic. It's comforting like a warm blanket, but it's also very, very familiar. Rogue One comes out. It's the story of how we got the Death Star plans. Well, I know you get them. You're not going to surprise me there. And because none of these characters are mentioned ever again, I'm going to put down some money on Nobody Survives. Again, no real surprises. Last Jedi is the first Star Wars film that is completely unexpected. They would set me up for expectations. I saw Luke's X-Wing, and I went, oh, he's going to rise it up out of the water and jump in and go fight. No, you don't get that. Well, Snoke's in it, and he's going to be the bad guy in Episode 3 that's going to... Oh, no, you don't get that moment either. Well, maybe we'll go over... No, you don't get that either. Every time something was set up as an expectation for what the film wanted you to believe, they pulled the rug out from under you, and it turned out not to be true. And I was delighted by that. Because, again, it's the first time, probably since Return of the Jedi, that I walked into a Star Wars movie and had zero idea what was going to happen. And that every time I thought I knew, every time I thought I had it pegged, it changed on me. So while the 6-year-old in me cried quite a bit at the loss of the Luke Skywalker that I used to emulate running around on the playground, I was never Han. I'm not good looking enough. But Luke, this is going to sound super cheesy. Luke and I shared a lot of attributes. He's a farm boy from the middle of nowhere. Well, I'm aware that there are farms, but I'm also from the middle of nowhere. And he has this deep, abiding sense of right and wrong. I'd like to think that I do. And he gets to go off and look to the horizon and dream of something better. Well, who hasn't done that? We've all done that. We're all Luke Skywalker in that regard. And to take that character and tilt him and give him that Batman Beyond moment is thrilling and terrifying. And I can see why it's not sitting well with a lot of people. But I think that when you get past that moment, when you analyze it and can look at it within that construct, suddenly you begin to realize that this really opens things up. This changes things for Star Wars a lot, and I think in a good way. I know I'm not going to sway a bunch of people to immediately go, oh, he's right, I liked this movie much better now. But I'm willing to bet money that if you go see it a second time, now that you've seen it, now that you've kind of got that initial out of your system, maybe you'll be a little more accepting of it. Or maybe you'll even flip and say, wow, no, this is a really good movie. I was wrong. Maybe not. It breaks my heart, Rachel, to hear that Chauncey absolutely hated it. I'll have to go and look up his review and see what his thought process was and see if I can maybe get at the core of why he didn't like it. I've got hardcore friends that are hardcore Star Wars fans that absolutely despised this film and feel that it's, an affront to everything they believe in. And I feel bad about that because I genuinely I don't want my friends to be happy. I genuinely want people to be excited by it's Star Wars, for Pete's sake. We ought to all be excited by this, right? So I'm a little bummed that not everybody loves it the way that I do. And I'm not saying that the film's not without problems. The casino plot is definitely... There's some issues there. I mean, why bottle up all of the action in the fleet just to immediately turn around and leave the fleet? That just doesn't make any sense. And it feels a little fake constructed, like, well, we've got to give our characters something to do while Rey's off training. But it also fits in with the themes of this movie, which is failure. I mean, Luke feels that he failed Ben. Ben feels that he failed Snoke. Rey feels that, her parents failed her and that she's failed them somehow. The Poe situation, he's failed the Republic, and he's failed Leia, more importantly. He feels that way. And so he's desperate to do anything to save the day. And then that winds up in failure. The Resistance fails to survive. I mean, this is a downer movie. This is the most down movie since Empire Strikes Back. And I'm not one of those fans that, Empire's the greatest ever. It's great, don't get me wrong. And it probably is the best, but I alternate. So it depends on my mood. Sometimes New Hope is the one I really want because it's uplifting. And so sometimes that's my number one. But sometimes for pure craftsmanship, I fall back on Empire. But I think this film has elements of both. And realistically, as with most things, it's part 2 of 3. So it's not complete yet. The story's not done. And I suspect very strongly that there were a lot of the moments that the fans were upset about were probably seeds that were being laid for episode 9. And now that Carrie Fisher has passed, it's going to be very difficult to carry forward that vision intact. They're going to have to rework it. They're going to have to rewrite it. And it may mean that those scenes that fans had problem with are just going to be that. They're just going to be scenes that don't make any sense because there's no larger context for them anymore. And unfortunately, that's just one of those things you can't plan for. I mean, nobody thought we were going to lose Carrie. Kevin Smith mentioned in his review that he thinks that if Leia had been the one to take the ship to hyperspace instead of Admiral Hodor, whatever her name was, that would have been more fitting because she would have gone out defending the Resistance in a brilliant blaze of glory. And I agree. That's a phenomenal idea. But it's easy to say that in retrospect, knowing that she's gone, because she was supposed to be the major thrust of the story for episode 9. And so now that we don't get that moment, this moment, you can't change it. You just have to deal with it as is. So I've prattled on far longer than I meant to. I apologize for that. Just my 2 cents for what they're worth, which, in today's economy is about 2 cents. But hopefully I give you a little insight there. And like I said, I'd be very, very interested in hearing if any of you do wind up going for a second run through. I plan on going tomorrow. I haven't even gone a second time yet. It's the film that has not left me since I saw it. And so I plan on going tomorrow. But I wanted to get this in and give you guys something to chew on. And as always, keep up the good work. Thank you so much for being you and supporting us over at Traveling the Vortex. And I kind of feel like checking in with you periodically is the least I can do to support you guys with my busy schedule. So I'm actually sitting in a recording booth at work doing this right now, so I'm going to get back to the grind. But take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sean, for that lovely feedback. And I think for the most part, I agree with. I did not know anything about the whole Batman thing, but I totally see the parallels. With that. So
listening to his feedback, there's not. I mean, I'm just thinking. I'm like, I don't really disagree with anything he said. Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just sort of your reaction. If you had a different reaction, then that's that's what happens.
Yeah.
This movie isn't going to hit everybody in the exact same way, good or bad. But it's just let's. We can talk about this in a mature, measured way. Yes. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest thing we were trying to get across in our review last episode is, yes, we're aware that not everyone's in agreement on this particular movie, but we can be civil and disagree. Mm-hmm. So, but for the most part, I didn't really have any issues with the movie, and I'm not going to totally repeat myself from, if anyone wants to, if anyone didn't listen to last week's episode, go listen to last week's episode. You can hear our opinions.
We talked about it there, and so, but thank you, Sean, for sending in feedback, and because it's nice to hear what our listeners have to say about things. I mean, we talk and you listen, and sometimes we want to listen to you.
Yeah.
And, if you have feedback you want to send in about Last Jedi or anything else we've talked about, you can send his feedback like Sean. You can do audio if you're that savvy with audio.
Yeah.
Or, or the written version is totally cool too. You can just email it to us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com.
Yep.
So, yay for feedback.
Yay! Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah. Alex says,
was
thank you,
even
Sean.
cheering.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I put him on the floor, and he just rolled over and got stuck in his activity center. So he's like, "Come get me, Mom."
It sounded like cheering to me. Sorry.
Well, no, you can't ever really tell. Sometimes he's laughing, and it sounds like he's crying and he's hurt. But it's okay.
Yeah.
But yes, he was happy about Sean's feedback too.
Yeah.
He sat here and listened to it with me.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, let's move on to this week's topic, which is essentially rehashing everything that happened last year. So.
And what a year it was! Oh boy,
it was.
people.
2017 was something. I think the word I used on Lou Mangello's post after the new year, he's like, if you could sum up 2017 into one word, what would it be? And I think the word I used was interesting.
Yes, very very non-committal there.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
I'm like Switzerland. I'm neutral.
Yeah. No, it's kind of like, I know Rachel saw the video, Andre's, both videos, his year in review, best and worst of 2017. And I mean, his worst of, I laughed.
Oh, yeah.
I laughed my you-know-what off watching him rant about all the crazy, stupid things, and not even things that really mattered, like,
it's all
stuff
Fandom
about
related.
the Emoji Movie and stuff like that. It was just so funny.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you kind of, that's how I would sum up 2017, is just, it was a funny year.
Yeah.
And
sometimes
there
a funny
were a lot of good
haha,
things.
sometimes it was you had to laugh, otherwise you'd cry type of funny, but funny regardless. So.
Yeah, and there were good things too. I mean, I won't go over that. And so it's like most years.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yep. Oh. And unfortunately, there's a lot of 10 o'clock news. Once again.
Yeah.
Almost every month, there's at least one piece of 10 o'clock news, but it's sprinkled in there with there's still a lot of good, so that's a good thing. So we're just gonna go through month by month, just like we've done this the last couple of years. So we go back to January of 2017. So this time last year, we kicked off the new year with our show in particular, kicked off the new year with a bit of a rebrand with a new logo and actually owning our own URL. So that you didn't have to type in a super long website to come visit us on the interwebs.
Yep.
So
we're moving up in the world.
Yes. And now you can buy merch with that logo on it. So that's even better.
It's a very stylish logo too.
It is. And then, 3 pieces of 10 o'clock news from last January. So Miguel Ferrer from passed away last January. Mary Tyler Moore passed away last January. And one that I think got me right in the feels quite strongly was the loss of John Hurt last January, which we ended up dedicating an entire episode to. Episode 125, if you want to listen to that, but that one hurts. And in the same
no pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. So, and in that same month, also Peter Capaldi announced he was leaving Doctor Who.
Not quite 10 o'clock news, but 9 o'clock news for some fans.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the month.
We'll say that was 9:45 news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The month started off a little rough, kind of like the January before that.
Yeah.
January's not been very kind to us the last couple of years, as I'm sitting here in my Slytherin sweater because today is Severus Snape's birthday, and the next 2 days are not going to be very fun when my Time Hop app to show things that I've posted in the last couple of years.
January in general is just kind of a crappy month anyway, because Christmas is over. You're in the depths of winter. It's cold, and it's wintry and snowy and dark and yucky. And then they just add on here all these people that you like. They're gonna die.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, a little bit. The only good thing about January is that you can start ordering Girl Scout cookies. So you won't get them, but you can order them.
Hey, it's fun to order stuff because it's the anticipation of getting something cool.
Because you know that they're going to be coming.
Yes.
Yep.
Like, no matter what, those Girl Scout cookies are coming.
Exactly. That's always the highlight of my January, is the start of Girl Scout cookie season. Oh, all right. February. More 10 o'clock news, but we'll get to that. Our friend of the show, Lou Mangello, his podcast, the WW Radio Show, had his 10-year anniversary of his podcast, which was quite exciting. So it was crazy to think that Lou's been doing that particular podcast for 10 years, considering I was listening to him from the podcast before that, at least a year or so before WW Radio started. So that means I've been listening to Lou for over a decade. So.
Wow. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yep. And still going strong. So cheers to you, Lou.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh. And then some more 10 o'clock news. We saw the passing of Bill Paxton in February.
That
was a toughie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then also Doctor Who alumni Neil Fingleton that passed away. He played the Fisher King in before the. March was significantly more pleasant, although it was still cold, as I remember. So in March, I attended the first ever Hall of Heroes Comic-Con up in the South Bend area, and I froze my little tuchus off, but I had fun. And I recapped that in show 131. And then also in March was the Who Wants to Grant a Wish Party at Who North America. That was thrown together with KJ, who's a local DJ here in Indianapolis. She's a huge nerd. She loves Doctor Who and Harry Potter and The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. She's essentially us, but she gets to be on the radio and play 80s tunes during the day if she feels so inclined. But it was a fun event. We got to raise money for 2 Make-A-Wish kids. And both of their wishes ended up being granted, and they've since gone on. They've both got to go on their wish trips, which is pretty awesome. So, but that was fun with Dalek and some of the Circle City Ghostbusters, and those of us that came dressed in our Doctor Who finest, and all the fun stuff and all the gifts that the kids got to get. It was quite a fun time. So that was pretty awesome. And then also March saw speaking of Power Rangers, the reboot movie was released in March. And we did a more of a Power Ranger retrospective on show 133.
That was a good movie.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I did movie night with JL Media, talking Power Rangers among other things as well. And then Chrissy attended Salt Lake Fan X.
Yep, that was my big convention experience. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Gosh, for the year. It was only a 2-day thing because they had to truncate it a little bit, but it was a lot of fun. Got to meet Jennifer Hale, which I was excited about, and a lot of panels, a lot of great stuff. came home with way too many books yet again because we like to hang out at the authors' tables. But yeah, just a 2-day thing. Plus, I was pregnant, so that was an experience unto itself.
Yeah,
being there and
just wait till you attend a convention with baby out of utero.
Yes, we've got this list of cosplays we want to do with him, and it's just kind of like, okay, is he going to be? Because it doesn't look like they're going to do FanX in the spring, so the next convention he's going to get to go to, the first one, most likely he'll be a year old, so we'll have to plan for that. But yep. But I'm looking forward to this September. It's gonna be good.
Much more fun to dress him up once he's outside of the belly than trying to dress the belly. So,
yeah,
I'd imagine.
I mean, we thought about, like, could we do some costumes with the belly? And I was like, of course, I didn't have much of a belly at the time.
Yeah.
Like, everyone wants to hear this, but we're like. But I was like, well, I guess I could, we could paint it and be a Death Star, or you look up pregnancy cosplay sometime, and there's some funky ones that they do. But no, my quick tangent. My brother and sister-in-law took their little guy to Comic-Con last September, the one we missed, and he was dressed up as the Doctor. The 11th Doctor, and he had a toy sonic screwdriver, and they were at a panel. It was an authors panel, and there was a bunch of authors. I know Jim Butcher was there because Jim Butcher was talking, and he kept getting distracted by my nephew, and he's like, I'm sorry, there's a baby Time Lord over here doing the sonic screwdriver. It's just adorable, and I can't stop watching it.
Another use of the sonic screwdriver.
Yep.
Yes, pretty much.
That's adorable.
Yep. So anyway, but yeah, FanX last March was a lot of fun, and some much needed fun, I might add.
And then April kicked off with me attending Hoosier Con, which I recap in show 134. So that's it's almost like a mini Gen Con, but it's free, which is always a good thing. But it's a nice smaller con that's here in Indy. And there's a lot of gaming, and there's panels, and there's cosplay, and all sorts of fun stuff. So, and then that's also usually when the independent show is, which is also the case this year. And then April, BritBox started streaming. So those of us that were desperate for Doctor Who, there you go. At least some Doctor Who. BritBox, there you go. And then some more 10 o'clock news. We were saying that a lot. We saw the passing of Don Rickles, along with Disney Imagineer George McGinnis, which actually Lou interviewed George McGinnis on way in the early days of his podcast, WW Radio Show number 27. So if anyone has not listened to that, you can go and listen to that. And speaking of Lou, it's just because he's awesome, and it's awesome to see fellow podcasters get recognition. The WW Radio Show got listed by Reader's Digest as one of the... I know, Alex, it was so exciting. I was so proud of him. Got listed as one of the 12 best podcasts you are not listening to but should.
Wow.
Yes.
That's quite the honor.
Yeah. And then April also brought us Easter Saturday with the return of Doctor Who. It's not very often we get to say Easter Saturday, and it's actually Easter Saturday, but in 2017 it was Easter Saturday brought us Doctor Who's return after a wait. When all you get is a Christmas special in an entire calendar year, it was a long wait.
It was.
Yeah. So, and then that same weekend, I attended Indiana Comic-Con, helping out Who North America at their booth, which was interesting to say the least. But I did get to meet Charlie Cox, drones, so that was fun.
That's what's important.
Yep. So, and I talk about that on show 137. In May, the MCU brought us another entry with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and its 50 post-credit sequences, which was awesome. Along with another amazing soundtrack with Awesome Mix Volume 2, which I think I like Awesome Mix Volume 2 more than I like Awesome Mix Volume 1.
It's definitely grown on me.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure to think of it at first, but then I listened to it a few times and I'm like, okay, I get this. I like it.
Yeah. So that was awesome. We also announced the Fangirls Give Back initiative, which, if you don't know what that is, obviously this show is run on a shoestring budget for the most part, but there are opportunities for folks to financially support us via Patreon and our Amazon affiliate link, which, if you buy anything through Amazon, we get a small kickback from Amazon for that. And now that we have merchandise, I think we'll loop that into that as well. So, any money we make off of t-shirt sales, we'll obviously, most of that will go back into, I know, money. It's exciting. Obviously, most of the money we make will go back into making sure that the show continues on, but we will take a portion of that and set it aside and donate that to our chosen charity. So we picked 3 charities last year that we have decided to support, and we're still doing that, and we'll continue to do that up through, I think we'll go up to our next birthday, and then from there we'll decide if we want to pick new charities for the next year, if we want to continue with the same 3. We'll figure that out in June when our birthday comes around. But just, for those that aren't aware, if you do decide to financially support us, whether it's buying merch, shopping on Amazon, or becoming a Patreon supporter, that yes, you are supporting the show, but at the same time you are also supporting some three very deserving charities. We're not just going to keep all that money for us. We've been very, very blessed with the success and the support, and that's our way of giving back to those in need. So,
for sure.
Where am I? May. Okay. And then some more 10 o'clock news. We saw the passing of Sir Roger Moore of James Bond fame, among other things. He passed away in May. And then in late May, we saw the 40th anniversary of Star Wars. 40 years since Episode 4 was released, which was exciting.
And we did a little retrospective on that, if memory serves.
Yes, we did. And then Memorial Day weekend saw the opening of Pandora, the World of Avatar, at Disney's Animal Kingdom in Florida, which I've now since seen. It is awesome! And then, and then over in California, it saw the reopening of Tower Terror, now rethemed as Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. So, exciting things happening at the Disney parks. June saw the release of Wonder Woman, one of the best movies in the DC universe, right up there with the Lego Batman movie. So, which was pretty awesome. She has been a definitely the highlight of the DC cinematic universe so far.
Yes. Which, admittedly, is not a high bar to clear, but that's not disparaging her at all.
Nope.
Because it was a genuinely good movie.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like you always have to say that.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
Yay, Wonder Woman.
Yay, Wonder
Just
Woman.
give her the DCEU and...
Yeah. Sounds good to me. And then we had our birthday. The podcast turned 3.
Woo!
And now we're getting ready to turn 4 in 5 months.
Oh my goodness, we're getting so old.
I know.
In podcast years, probably.
Yeah. But that was exciting. So we had our third birthday extravaganza where we had people sending questions, both about the podcast and just whatever. So that was kind of fun to get random questions from people. So let's start brainstorming. What are we going to do for our 4th birthday? So. If anyone has any suggestions, let us know because our birthday is in June, and it's
we got time to think about this.
It's the same weekend as PopCon this year, our birthday. So, which, funnily enough, our birthday was the same weekend as the very first PopCon. So, PopCon has bounced around date-wise, but it happens to fall on the same weekend as our birthday again, and it's the 5th year anniversary for PopCon. So
didn't you get like a bumper from Sylvester McCoy?
Yes, that was when I got our very first. That was kind of our. We hadn't officially launched yet, but we had the name. We had everything ready to go. We just hadn't recorded, that first episode yet and put it out there into the universe. But I went to PopCon and went to Sylvester McCoy, and it's like we're starting this podcast, and I'd love to get a bumper from you, and. So yeah, the show kicked off with the very first PopCon getting that bumper from Sylvester McCoy, and holy crap, have we collected the bumper since?
Yes, I can still remember when you sent that to us to listen to. I was just like, I
know, it was like just so it's so funny because before we started. Before we started the podcast and all this stuff, I was just always so starstruck by these stars and everything. And I think, Rachel, when you got that bumper from Sylvester McCoy, I was kind of like, you know what, I could go up and talk to celebrities and ask them for a bumper. Why not? And, when I went to Comic-Con and I talked to Peter Davison and I talked to Colin Baker and
Paul McGann.
And yes, it was exciting and fun and stuff, and I got one from Jennifer Hale and Vic Mignogna, and it's like, I can talk to these people, I can ask them for these things, and they do it for you, and you're a fan, you're talking about this stuff on the internet, and they kind of, they think it's cool that you do this. Like, we think what they do is cool, and they think what we do is cool. It all works out. It was just kind of, I don't know, I was just thinking about something like that the other day. I don't think I articulated that very well, but there we go.
It's exciting. I love when our birthday comes around.
It's always fun.
And then,
let's see. Oh, my iPad went off.
And then June saw the passing of Adam West. Speaking of Batman.
Yeah.
So that was sad. And then we got the announcement that Ron Howard was taking over as director for the Han Solo origin movie, which was kind of exciting. I never thought I'd see the day that, Opie Taylor would be directing a Star Wars movie, but he's done it.
There are a lot of things that happen that are, but then it does.
Yep.
So hopefully, and we'll see that movie this May.
Yep.
Right? Yes.
Yep.
So we'll see how it all turns out.
Yeah. Well, And then I attended In Conjunction, which was fun. It was low key, which was good. But considering the month that was July, so thank goodness it was a low key con. But I ended up guesting on Gaming with Scott, talking about Wonder Woman. So you can go find Gaming with Scott, and you can listen to that if you have not yet. Obviously, it contains spoilers, but at this point, too bad. But that was a nice low key con to kind of round out the month, because July was so full and so busy. It was redonkulous. I don't know how we survived, but we did.
We did indeed.
So we had the release of Spider-Man: Homecoming, which was awesome. We also, that same weekend, we also saw, unfortunately, the passing of Stan Lee's wife, Joan, which was bittersweet, considering I saw the news as we were sitting in the theater waiting for Spider-Man: Homecoming to start. And of course, Stan Lee comes up, with his cameo, and I'm like, "Oh, his wife just died."
Yeah,
that was kind of sad. And then, literally the next morning, I get up and begin the 3-day Juggernaut on, which I recap in show 146. And thank goodness I had interviews recorded to help pad that episode, because my voice was shot. I had no voice by Sunday morning at PopCon. Hopefully that will not be a repeat this year. So.
Pace yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, PopCon, it was so fun. PopCon was it was so much fun. I mean, it always is. Even when they don't have, celebrities that I really care about there, this show, this con is just one of those ones where it's like the celebrities are just icing or sprinkles on the sundae. The people that run it are so nice, and they're fans themselves, and they care about the guest experience. It's not always a smooth running, but anytime you've got, multiple, you've got celebrity schedules to take care of, you've got panel schedules, you've got, all the technology that goes in with it, and you've got all these people, attending guests, people paying money to come to these conventions, and vendors and that sort of. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to a con, and it doesn't always run smoothly, but they always try to give the guests the best experience. Not there just to take your money, unlike some other conventions. Wizard World. Sorry, a little tickle in my throat there. So I can't say enough good things about Indie PopCon, and I'm excited for the con again this year. It's an anniversary year for them. It's year 5 for them. So, I guess the fifth. It's not year 5. It's the 5th PopCon. So it's the 5th iteration of PopCon. So, which is exciting. So, but yeah, I had so much fun at PopCon last year, getting to finally start my Power Ranger autograph collection. After meeting several Power Rangers but not getting autographs from them, just hugs and handshakes, I finally started collecting autographs. So that was exciting. I got to interview Greg Grunberg. How exciting is that?
Very. That was nice.
So, yeah, that was fun. I'm excited. It's exciting. So, I'm excited for PopCon again. So, and then we got the big announcement that Jodie Whittaker was going to be the new Doctor. And the internet broke. And the fandom collectively broke. For better or for worse.
It went a little nuts.
It went a little
nuts. To say the least.
Yeah. And then some 10 o'clock news. We saw the passing of Doctor Who alumni Trevor Baxter.
That one hurt.
Yeah. And then Fandom Christmas Part 1 with D23 Expo, which we recapped best we could on show 147. And then the passing of another Doctor Who alumni, Deborah Watling.
Oh.
Yeah. Unfortunately. And then the John Hurd, the dad from Home Alone, passed away.
Yeah.
And then Fandom Christmas Part 2 with San Diego Comic-Con, which we recapped best we could on show 148. Again, whoever decided that D23 Expo or another needs to be slapped upside the head and say, don't do that again.
Exactly. You had one job. This was not it.
Please and thank you.
Yeah. Oh, silly people.
Thankfully, D23 Expo is every other year, so
right.
we won't have that problem this year. Next year, on the other hand, who knows? But for this year, we'll be okay. And then, unfortunately, to finish out the month, we saw the passing of Disney Imagineer and overall legend, essentially, Marty Sklar passed. And he had just been at D23 Expo like the week before, which really threw a lot of people for a loop. So that was sad. Sad way to finish out the month.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in August, we saw the passing of Doctor Who alumni Robert Hardy. He played
and Harry Potter.
Yeah. Our show, we hit anniversary milestone. We hit episode 150.
Woohoo!
Woo!
Confetti!
Whee! I attended Gen Con, which was Gen Con 50, which, oh my god, was huge!
Mm-hmm.
I'd imagine so.
Really huge! And I was still tired, and my voice was still kind of sore, but it wasn't nearly as bad as the year before. Because I knew how to pace myself. I was more prepared. So come Gen Con this year, I know what to do. Which is good. We saw the, again, passing of another celebrity.
This is getting really old.
I know, it is. It's like,
passing,
good, bad, good, bad, bad, good. Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
I know.
Yeah, we saw the passing of comedy legend Jerry Lewis, which was sad. I attended 2 cons in one weekend because I'm a glutton for punishment, and they were completely opposite ends of the state, almost. Starting with the Indie Disney meet up in Noblesville, which this was their 10th annual meet, which was rather exciting because I got to meet all sorts of Disney fans, and there was food, and I got a Dole Whip for the first time in a long time, which made me very happy. And then proceeded to drive to Bloomington the very next day to attend Indiana Toy and Comic Expo, which was completely in the opposite direction. But it was fun. I was very tired, but it was fun. There's a lot of conventions.
Yeah, so no kidding.
And then also in August, we got a new edition.
We did. After all this, so and so passed away. We actually get someone be born.
Yeah.
And you probably heard him throughout the podcast. He's been kind of rambunctious today. My little boy Alex was born, and he's smiling at me, saying, "Hey, I know you're talking about me." And I'm cute and wonderful, and he is cute and wonderful. And I hope our listeners have found his antics more endearing than annoying when we're recording. But no, he's fun, and he's definitely a little fanboy in training.
Yep.
We're making sure of that. We got him, I don't know if you've ever seen, they're these little stuffed plush cube stuffies, and they're different characters. We got him a Yoda one for Christmas, and he loves it.
Cool.
He snuggles it and gums on it because he's teething, and I'm just like, yeah, you love on Yoda. Yoda's the best.
Yep. Chewie.
Of course, I
maybe
picked
you will.
Yoda for him. There was like Darth Vader and Chewie and all these others. I'm like, no, my child will have Yoda. There wasn't an Obi-Wan.
Yoda doesn't mind a little drool.
Yeah. He's going to get a Jedi Master.
Yeah.
Yep. All the above.
So September 1st, in particular in 2017, marked the 19 years later epilogue from Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. So,
Wow.
Just crazy to think about.
I know, like when that book came out and it said 19 years later, and everyone's doing the math of, okay, when does this take place? And we're all like, oh, it's like clear forever in the future in 2017.
Yep.
And then it was 2017 all of a sudden.
Yep. So that was kind of exciting and kind of bittersweet at the same time, because it's like, we've been these books. I mean, most everything in the book, timeline wise, takes place in years that have already passed. Like, if people aren't that familiar with the Harry Potter timeline. So it's like to finally hit something where it's like, oh yeah, this is actually happening, like, right now. In this day and age. So that was kind of exciting and kind of bittersweet at the same time. So.
Oh yes.
Kind of be like, oh, it's over, unless you considered, the Cursed Child canon, and in that case, yeah, you can keep going. So, that's a discussion for another episode. And also in September, speaking of babies, the British royal family announced that William and Kate are, I guess they still are, because she hasn't had the baby yet, but are expecting baby number 3. So, another little prince or princess to the Cambridges. And Kate unfortunately was ill again, as she has been with every pregnancy. But thankfully she was got a very good support system, being future, the wife of the future King of England has its benefits, including very good health care. So.
And you probably get fast-tracked into the emergency room.
Yeah, a little bit. So, but yeah, she's feeling much better now, and they're out and about doing engagements, and every time we see her, her bump's getting a little bigger, which is...
and yet she's still rocking those high heels.
Oh, yes. She will rock those high heels up until the day she delivers, more than likely. And then come out of the hospital with said baby in heels again. So... How she does it, I do not know. The woman's got feet of steel or something.
Something like that.
I have no idea. She looks gorgeous every time she goes out, but I look at her feet and I'm like, if I tried to do that, I would be in tears of how much that would hurt. But
I'd be on my bottom.
Yeah.
I'd be in tears because of I'm on my bottom and twisted ankles.
Yeah. Yep. More power to her. Wear all the heels you want, Kate. You can have them.
As long as it's not me doing it.
Exactly. So, but baby Cambridge number 3 should be here sometime approximately in April. So, of course, we'll be glued to the live feed of the Lindo wing, just like I did with the last 2 deliveries. Quite excited. And then, in no surprise whatsoever, the Doctor Who spinoff Class got officially canceled, and we all went, "Yep." No surprise there. They tried.
Yep. It was a thing.
It was a thing.
That was a thing that happened.
It was a thing that happened. So, another thing that happened is we lost another Disney legend. Exitencio passed away in September. which was again sad. All these folks that were around at the same time Walt was, and we're starting to lose them, and it's sad.
It's the end of an era.
It is. Happier news, I guess it depends on your opinion of his directing skills. I was happy about this announcement. That Disney/Lucasfilm announced that J.J. Abrams would return to write and direct Star Wars Episode 9. So, I personally am happy about this and glad that the person that kicked off this trilogy is going to be completing the trilogy. So, I'm totally down to see how he navigates the cluster that is the Star Wars fandom right now. So.
First bit of advice: stay off Twitter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, that's just a general piece of advice for everybody.
There are some that have managed to figure out the whole social media thing. So.
Yeah, that's true.
For better or for worse. So.
Stay off Twitter. Stay off the iffier edges of Facebook, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. And if you really want to navigate the social medias, take James Gunn's approach. He does a really good job of navigating the murky waters of the social media. So, but anyway, and then the folks that brought us Doctor Who Legacy announced a new game, Doctor Who Infinity, which is rather exciting, because that's what I need, is another game to play.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here just being utterly bored with my life.
Yeah. Some other unfortunate news, I guess, to round out the month of September is due to various circumstances that I've already touched upon in that particular episode where we made that announcement, is Time Lord Expo got canceled. It hurts.
Yeah.
That one hurts to see something I was so excited about get canceled, especially so close to it. But it is what it is. So
there were reasons.
Yes.
Very good reasons.
Yeah. And then on October, our brother show, Traveling the Vortex, hit a big epiversary, 350 episodes.
Woohoo!
Which was rather exciting. So they've been teasing about it for months, but they finally did the Traveling the Vortex pledge drive.
They were teasing. For a while, it was just kind of a joke and a punchline, but then they're like, hey, let's actually do this. And so they did it, and it seemed to go over well. I was there watching it, and a lot of fun to participate and send in comments. They just did it through Facebook Live, and it seemed to work pretty well. And I was like, hey, do this again if you want to. I don't know how we would do such a thing, but it seems like it would be fun if we could do it.
I'm sure there's something. Or by the time we hit 350 episodes, the technology will exist for us to do something like that when we're not all in the same room together.
Yeah.
Hopefully by then we would have at least had all meet at least once.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Let's see. On an exciting move, Natalia Cordova Buckley, aka Yo-Yo, got bumped up to a series regular on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So that now that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is back, we've got to see her face on a more regular basis, which is always exciting because she's awesome.
She's always been amazing, but she's really amazing this season.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, they're giving her a lot more to do, and that's helpful.
Yeah.
So yay, more Yo-Yo.
Yeah. And then Another passing. This time, Doctor Who alumni Trevor Martin passed away in October. And even though Time Lord Expo got canceled, my that weekend was not an entire loss because due to some negotiations and working in the backstage, we were able to bring Caitlin Blackwood, aka Young Amy Pond, to Who North America for a day of autographs and selfies and meet and greets, and we got to take her to Arby's, so she got to experience Arby's for the first time. Which was exciting. And she's just adorable. She's so sweet. And it was exciting to meet her and get to add her autograph to my collection right next to her cousin Karen's autograph. And she's a sweet kid. I say kid, she's an adult. She's 18. She's a legal adult. But yeah, she's a good person. She's grown up into a wonderful young lady, and I'm glad she'll come back across the pond sooner rather than later, so we can chat again and maybe introduce her to another fast food place that they don't have in the UK, in Scotland. So. Also in, convention-related news, they had Time Eddy 3, but unfortunately that was the last Time Eddy. The organizers have announced that was going to be the last iteration of Time Eddy, at least for the foreseeable future. Who knows, down the road, maybe someone will revive it, but at this point, no more Time Eddies, which was kind of bittersweet, because that was one of those conventions that I've been wanting to go to.
Yeah, me too. I was like,
I
can't make it to Galley because tickets sell out in 0.5 seconds.
Yeah.
But Time Eddy, I can go to Kansas, sure.
Yeah. It would have been a great convention for us to all go to together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It would have been really convenient, but alas, it is not to be, at least for the foreseeable future. So, and then we got our, our first quote-unquote cast image for Jodie Whittaker's turn as the Doctor, her with her 3 quote-unquote companions, because we don't know yet to what extent these folks will be. Whether they'll be full-time traveling companions, if they'll be off and on companions, that sort of thing. But we now know the faces that will be gracing our screens once Doctor Who returns. So that was fun, because at this point we're like, okay, new Doctor, new showrunner. We don't know when it's coming back. We'll take whatever news we can get.
And not only take that news, but analyze it and beat it to death as well.
That too.
Yep.
That too.
Because we are fans and we are obsessive.
Yes. And then to round out the month, I froze took us off at Who North America for Oktoberfest.
Yeah, that's right. October was kind of chilly.
Oh my goodness, it was so cold. It was so cold. I thought I was never going to get warm again. I'm lucky I got to say hi to the people that I knew, because I barely moved because it was too cold to do anything. It was so cold. And they've already announced Oktoberfest for this year. It's going to be the same time of year. I'm just hoping that it's not going to be Hoth again in late October.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, exactly. Definitely.
Yeah, October's one of those weird ones that
it is like the first Oktoberfest. It was gorgeous out. Absolutely, it was windy as heck, but the sun was shining and it was a decent temperature. But oh my gosh, it was so cold. So maybe this year will be somewhere in the middle. Who knows? Late October in Indiana, it's a crapshoot. So. Let's see. November kicked off with the at this point the most recent release in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Thor Ragnarok, which was pretty stinking awesome. Just all three we got 3 new Marvel movies, MCU movies in 2017, and if someone asked me to pick a favorite out of 3, I don't think I could.
Because they're all good.
So good for different reasons. I love them all for different reasons. So
I think it'd be like, whatever the last one I just watched.
Yeah, really. Yeah, it's like, what's your favorite Marvel movie? Whatever was the one that was just released in the movie theaters, more than likely. Yeah. So, which in slightly over a month will be Black Panther. So
Exciting.
We got, let's see, another piece of 10 o'clock news. Doctor Who composer Dudley Simpson passed away in November. Then also Doctor Who related news. We got our look at the 13th Doctor's outfit. And at least the outside of the TARDIS, of her TARDIS. So we don't know yet if, well, at this point, more than likely, the TARDIS had changed because of the state it was left in at the end of the Christmas special, but at the time we didn't know that.
we didn't know that.
We just knew the outside had a interface or a desktop. Well, I guess it wouldn't be a desktop. I guess had a skin change. It got a new cell phone cover. Yeah. I guess something like that. Yeah. Same phone on the inside.
The hardware got updated.
Software. Windows update. Literal Windows update. The Windows changed. They got updated.
Yes. Nice one.
I love that bit.
And then another exciting epiversary in this case. Again, friend of the show, Lou Mangello, the WW Radio show, hit episode 500.
Holy cow.
I know.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy, but at the same time, as we're recording, this is episode 169 of this show. So
that is true.
Yeah.
Possibly. Okay, wait a minute. I have to do math. 52 weeks in a year. Yes.
Yes.
We'll hit 200 this year if we keep going.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, even if we end up missing a week here and there, yeah, because, I mean, we're 30 shows away from hitting 200, so we're definitely going to hit 200 at some point this year, so.
Yep.
Crazy as that is. Yeah. And then Chauncey and I attended Starbase Indy, where Chauncey got to show off virtual reality to some of the attendees, which was quite exciting. Got some very good reactions from people trying out his hot air balloon demo, which he ended up taking it to his parents who were up there over the holidays and showed it to everyone who came through the door, whether they knew him or not. He's like, "Hey, come down to the basement. Let me show you this thing I built," which sounds kind of creepy when you think about it, but
Just a little.
I got candy.
yeah, really. It's like, hey,
I got cookies.
come down to the basement and see this thing I built. But yeah, it's quite exciting to show it off, and we'll see. If Star. I know they talked when we talked to Lisa. She mentioned having us back again at the convention this year, possibly bigger and better. But considering that's in November, we've got some time.
Yeah.
I say that, next thing I know, it'll be Halloween. But for now, we've got time.
Always things to do.
Yeah. In more Anglophile exciting news, the British royal family announced the engagement and impending wedding of Prince Harry to Meghan Markle. Which, yay! I love British royal babies and British royal weddings. I love it. It's so exciting. So excited. So And now that we're in 2018, they're getting married in May, so I'm excited. And they've been adorable. The photos that have come out, they did a engagement photos that they released the following month are just gorgeous. Megan is the camera loves her. I mean, Harry's not bad looking either, but oh goodness, Harry's got himself a looker there. She is a gorgeous gal. And since the engagement has been announced, they've started to do official royal duties together. So that's something that Megan will start doing, even after she marries Harry. And they've done a few official engagements, and they're just adorable. So she's taking it like a duck to water, which is good.
Yeah, it can be pretty intense.
Yep. And then finally,
Yes.
we got the Infinity War trailer.
Rachel's shouting about it clear across the country.
We finally.
It's about time.
Yes.
Yep.
We're waiting since San Diego Comic-Con, so since July. It was finally November, late November. We finally got the Infinity War trailer. And I was the happiest person on the planet. And I've seen it on the big screen twice because I've seen Star Wars twice. And it's even better on the big screen, and I'm so excited. Oh. Infinity War, I'm so excited. I'm excited about Black Panther too, but it's like, finally, Infinity War. So.
I do feel a little bad for Black Panther because, I mean, I'm sure once, Black Panther, they'll get closer, they'll market the heck out of it. Yeah. But I'm like, it kind of feels like it's getting lost in the shuffle because, like, Infinity War. But I'm like, but I'm sure Black Panther's going to be good too, so.
Yeah.
I actually read articles like the next Marvel movie is Infinity War. Like,
no, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Guys.
Don't forget T'Challa. We won't forget T'Challa.
No.
Wakanda. As Andre likes to say, Wakanda.
I love it when Andre talks about Black Panther. He's just so excited about this.
Yeah. And then we unfortunately. Again, we saw the passing of Jim Nabors, who, as we all knew as Gomer Pyle, and those of us in Indiana knew him as one of the voices of the Indianapolis 500. So, and then I actually put this in the wrong month for the show notes, but it's actually early December. Is when the trial and subsequent, decision by a jury, the lawsuit between San Diego Comic-Con and Salt Lake Comic-Con, where the jury sided with San Diego as far as the naming.
Insert rude gesture here.
Yeah.
I still call you that, and I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
Anyway. Trying to keep this family friendly, but
yes.
not succeeding.
Yeah.
No, but
honestly, metaphor here.
Yeah, although the Salt Lake Comic-Con showrunners have been very classy and gracious about it, even if some of their fans are like, but this wasn't fair. But Con's going to continue no matter what they call it. Although I did notice that Phoenix Comic-Con officially changed their name and kind of in response to this, just so they didn't get sued. Now they're Comic Fest, I think it is. I saw it shared on the Salt Lake Comic Con Facebook page, and they're like, oh, see, look what they did. Now they got to come after everybody else. I'm just like,
yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, but it is what it is.
Yep. So, and then in my own, I guess, personal excitement in December, I finally got to go back to Disney World.
Yay!
And Universal, so I got all Disney and Harry Pottered out. And came back with very empty wallets, very sore feet, and the worst airplane crud known to man. But that's okay. It was awesome. So, and
You're
then,
like, worth it.
Worth it. Totally worth it. December also saw the return of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was exciting. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in space. And in the future. We knew the in space, but we didn't know until it came back that it was also in the future. So it's in the future.
And the return
in space.
And then the return of the librarians.
Yes.
Yes, librarians came back. And they're
Yep.
doing awesome.
Yep. And then the House of the Mouse was quite busy in December buying Fox.
Yep. Yeah,
but you were like, well then.
For a big buttload of money.
Yeah. And then they also released a little movie.
Yep. Then there was this little
that
movie.
was last week's podcast.
Yep. Just a little bit. Just a little film about a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But
it's always notable.
Again, just check out last week's episode.
Yeah, we could talk about it again, but why bother? We already did that.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we got an early Christmas present from the folks over at Star Trek Continues. Few days before Christmas, because the series finished earlier this year. There was they knew exactly how many episodes they were going to do, and they've all since been released and are available to watch. But as a Christmas present, because it is a fan-made film, and technically they don't really have permission. They kind of had permission to make it, but at the same time did not, so they can't make any money off of it. So they've put everything out there for download for free. So, which was a nice early Christmas present from Vic and everyone over at Star Trek Continues. So you can get everything Star Trek Continues and add it to your collection.
So you can sit it next to the Blu-ray of the original series and say, this is Star Trek Season 4.
Yep.
Because that's basically what Star Trek Continues is.
Yep. And then I think really just to cap off the year, Christmas, we saw the Doctor Who Christmas special with the completion of Peter Capaldi's turn as the Doctor and his regeneration into Jodie Whittaker as the new Doctor.
And David Bradley played the first Doctor, and
yes,
that was quite good as well. So it's we kind of joked about another month someone passes away, someone passed away again, or all these different things. But I mean, outside of that and some of the other little weird things that happened, it was a pretty good year. There were some good things, and kind of I keep thinking about I have the quote from the end of Vincent and the Doctor that the Doctor Who episode with Vincent Van Gogh when the 11th Doctor and Amy are in the museum, and Amy's like, we didn't change anything because Vincent still died the same way that he died in history, even though they showed him that wonderful bit of what he's regarded as an artist. And the Doctor has that line about the good things don't spoil, or the bad things don't spoil the good things, and the bad things don't, or let's see, I have it hanging up on my wall. The good things don't soften the bad things, but the bad things don't soften or spoil the good things or make them unimportant. And I'm kind of like, what? Let's just use that phrase, that statement, and call that the statement for 2017, because there was the good, there was the bad, and it didn't really, it wasn't terrible overall.
Well, it was, like I said, it was interesting.
Yes, it was interesting. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, and I mean, I think for the even really we just kind of scratched the surface of really everything that happened for 2017. I mean, there's I'm sure there's probably some celebrity passings that we either missed or forgotten. Obviously, there's still other movies that were released that we saw. I mean, I just all I have to do is look at my my Regal, just a Regal, my history, and it keeps track of the movies that I've seen at a Regal theater. And I mean, I've seen I don't know how many movies just there. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. So, there was the My Little Pony movie. I went and saw Murder on the Orient Express. The Pirates of the Caribbean. The Lego Batman movie, Beauty and the Beast, Logan. And that's just what I saw at a Regal theater. It doesn't count any other movie theaters I went to that I'm just not remembering. Stuff I saw, lots of TV shows, both on regular TV and on Netflix. We got more Marvel series on Netflix. We got the Magic School Bus reboot. It's just, it was a very full year, which is good for a podcast about, fandom and pop culture, because that gives us plenty to talk about. But, some months ago, there were some weeks where like, what are we going to talk about? Time to pull names out of a hat, which we did at least once in 2017. And there were some months like July where I'm like looking at the calendar and like, how are we going to fit all this in a month?
Yeah, last month too.
And December was pretty crazy too.
We're spilling our year in review retrospective into this is the second podcast of 2018, and we're still doing 2017 stuff. Yeah. It's like, we know.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're not really complaining by any means. It's first world problems, obviously.
We make it work.
Yeah.
It's all.
But it's been an interesting year. I mean, outside of the podcast, things have been interesting. All you need to do is turn on the news or go on Twitter, and you kind of.
Oh yeah, like you don't even have to go that far. Go to look at your Facebook feed and what's your crazy Aunt Gertrude posting about this week.
Yeah, really. It's like 90
or your nutty cousin from
90 seconds on social media, and I'm like, okay, time to go watch the Magic School Bus again.
Yeah. So. I'm just kind of like, Alex, do you want to read a book?
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
If social media wasn't like the only way I talk to some people, like keep updated with you guys, I would avoid it as much as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like, I would get rid of Facebook, but that's how, I put up pictures from Alex for my family to see. I talk to you guys and all that stuff, and I'm just like, but, fandom has been a nice escape from that, and I hope that's what, I have several wishes for 2018, but I think my main fandom one is fandom continue to be an escape from the real world and what's going on in reality, because reality kind of stinks.
Yeah.
And just people being ornery and yelling at each other over stupid crap. Oh, wait.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, with fandom,
let's also remember this other rule. Let's be nice to each other, build up, not tear down, because that's kind of what's happening in real life. We come to you for escape. Let's kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you kind of run into those little corners sometime at fandom where they just want to go, instead of,
yeah.
Yep.
Let me help you, give you warm fuzzies.
Yeah, I mean, there's been, I don't want to go into too many details, but there have been times when I'm like dealing with something really, something bad happens to me personally. Life happens. Yeah. and I'm like, okay, I need a break, and so I'll go, do some fandom thing, and people are yelling at each other about it, and I'm just kind of like, you know what, I really don't care, because I'm dealing with this thing that's a little bit more important, and you're complaining about this, and I'm like, like, let's have fun, and that's what we do at this podcast. I mean, there's some times when we are not too high up on something, or something didn't quite hit all the notes for us, but we try to be positive still, and yeah. So I hope
the haterade.
Yeah, I hope our listeners feel like that we're a good place for that. I mean, yeah, we can still have our criticisms and maybe say, well, I didn't like this quite so much, but in the end, we're still fans of it, and we rather focus on the good rather than the bad.
Yeah.
Even if that means we like the courtship of Princess Leia. Sean.
Sorry, Sean.
It's our chick lit book for the Star Wars universe. Okay?
Yep. We love you, Sean.
Sean shaking. Sean, I can hear Sean shaking his head right now. Like, okay.
But that's okay. So, speaking of Sean and feedback, like I said earlier, our listeners, if they want to send in feedback, they can do so sending it to our email address, which is 5ishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also go to our website, our very own URL, which we got last year, which is the5ishfangirls.com. And that has all the links to our big social media stuff, Facebook and Instagram kind of being our biggest ones. We're also on Twitter and YouTube. We get comments from there that we'll read out as feedback if they get sent in. And you can also find all the ways to support us on our website as well. We have a Patreon account, and we have an Amazon store, and brand new, near enough, we have our merchandise T-shirt store. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you can wear our logos and advertise for us, but it's also stylish.
Yes.
So there's that.
Yes.
Hopefully you find the styles to your liking. So
yes. I'm kind of kidding.
Yeah.
We, if you do order anything from us, or for that matter, support us on Patreon or through our Amazon store, that's very, very appreciated, because that goes a long way to helping us continue to podcast as we can, and hopefully get better as we go along. So that, your support, whether it's through feedback or you supporting us through monetary means, that's all awesome.
Yeah.
So there's that. You can also listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and YouTube, like I said before. So find us on the webs on the interwebs if you so feel so to do.
Yeah.
I can talk. Okay, last night was the first night in a long time Alex has slept through the night. My brain is a little fuzzy.
Growing teeth is hard work.
Yes indeed. But no, he's a good kid. And now he just now fell asleep.
Yeah, of course. Now we're finishing up. As he does. But no, it's all good. We can't say enough, nice things about our listeners and our supporters, and even though people don't, we don't necessarily get feedback on a regular basis, we can see people are downloading, we know you're listening, I know sending feedback is sometimes, it can be maybe embarrassing, or you're not sure exactly what you want to say, or you just you forget, or
but I mean people they like our posts on Facebook, they leave comments there, or different things like that. So even that is very much appreciated. Like I've said before, I love it when I open my Facebook notifications and I see so and so liked a post on your Facebook page, and I'm like, yay, we have people who watch us. It's not sure my mom looks at this. I know my sister does.
Yeah.
But no, you guys are all great, and you've helped make 2017 very good for us.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll continue that into the new year.
Yeah. And thank you for sticking with us as things have changed a little around here, as I'm sure people have probably noticed. Obviously, schedules get wonky every now and then. I go on vacation and then the show doesn't happen.
We plan for that stuff.
Yeah, we try to plan for that. Obviously, Chrissy having a baby, that's brought on some changes. They're all good.
That was a big deal, and sometimes I want to say, you guys, thank you for being very patient and understanding, because today I know he was kind of noisy, hitting the microphone and things, and I kind of have to have him, keep an eye on him while we're recording. I'm glad you guys don't mind and that you're okay with it, and I'm glad our listeners are. I haven't heard any of the listeners complain, so
I haven't either, which is good.
That.
I'm glad that everyone's been understanding with, the added member, added voice to the podcast. Even if he can't really string two words together yet, but
someday he will.
He's learning via osmosis at this point, so
yeah.
His first words are going to be something fandom related, if we have anything to say that is. So.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yeah. I'm trying to teach him how to say Yoda.
Yep.
Yoda.
There we go.
Yoda.
Yes, Bubby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll keep plugging along. If we always try to keep you guys informed. If we know a show is, either show's going to get delayed or not happen at all for one reason or another, we try to let you guys know. So we'll try to never ever leave our listeners in the lurch, as far as keeping up with the podcast is concerned. Yeah, the schedule may get a little wonky sometimes, but it may not always be all of us. But the show will continue regardless until forever, I hope. Till we reach show 500. Lou Mongello has set the bar very high, so.
Yeah. Lou, we're coming for you.
Yes.
Slow but sure.
Slowly but surely, we're coming for you, Lou. So.
I can't imagine. Well, I can, but this seems so far in the future, but also not too far.
Well, 200 seems so far in the future, and here we're saying oh wow, we're close to that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So.
Set high goals.
Yep. So.
Yep.
But here's to the end of 2017 and then 2018. Let's hope it's a good one.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So, with that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem saying goodnight.
This is Christy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Good night. Been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by their respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.